Hi everybody, we're at a beautiful location. We do a lot of investigation behind the scenes, a lot of camera work behind the scenes, and a lot of driving around for your pleasure, so that you can learn and learn with us, because we keep learning. I keep learning all the time. But the beauty about it is that we can keep this wonderful hobby alive and well, and that you can sit at your koi pond proudly looking after healthy fish and healthy water. We are also there to help with microscope analysis, but apart from all of that, the episodes that we do have on the channel is there designed to help you have a better koi pond and a healthier, happy koi fish. This episode, as we promised, is going to be based on medication. Where do we start when it comes to medication? First and foremost, we go back to the most important element, and that is, of course, water. We need to understand what elements are in this water. And once we've identified that, I'm talking about salt. Is there salt in the water? Was there a need for salt to be in the water? Because certain medications clash. When it comes to medication, one needs to be absolutely precise. And precise in the format of understanding what the volume is of your pond. That is critical, because in most cases you'll see that certain medications will allow you to do a chemical dip. It will also tell you whether you can put it in the pond and whether it can stay indefinitely in the pond. There's certain medications that can do that, certain medications that you can't dip a fish, for instance, or bath a fish in. So then you also start off with the mildest of medications, depending on the severity of what you're dealing with. Remember, we now have found the root of the problem. Once you've assessed the volume of your water, that would also determine how much you put in the water, how many milligrams per 1,000 liters, or how many grams per 1,000 liters, or 5,000 liters for that matter, when it comes to the likes of malachite green powder, for instance. But one needs to be absolutely precise. You can't thumbsuck this one, because you're going to have accidents. And it is critical that you understand what medication you're putting in, why you're putting it in, and for how long you're going to be keeping it in. The important thing also is that you then need to put off your UV lights whilst the medication process is happening. And the reason for that is because it can neutralize the medication. Also, you need to understand the temperature of your water, whether it's a very, very low temperature in the winter, that also creates a problem, or a very high temperature. That will also determine how you go about doing the medication. What's critically important is also to understand the compatibility between certain elements, such as salt and medication, why you do the two together. There's other medication that do not do well in a natural pond with a lot of sediment and a lot of soil and debris. Potassium permanganate is one of them, because it oxidizes with certain elements in the water. You need to be very, very careful about this. The most important thing that you also need to look at when it comes to medication is also, as I said, the behavior of the fish. What's going on with the fish? The fish are flicking, or the fish jumping, or have the fish got ulcers? That would determine how you treat. Another method as well is also not just to throw medication in for the sake of medicating, but you also do an accurate laboratory assessment, laboratory test. And what I mean by that is that you take a swab and you do a swab analysis. So you take a swab of the mucus of the fish, or in the gill filaments, or if there is a dead fish already that you could, of the organs. There's a very, very special way of doing that. But what I need you to understand is that you can go to the next level. Instead of guessing, you can go to the next level and you can send the swab analysis away. There's a fish that has just jumped. So one needs to understand why it's doing that. Is it fight and flight? Did another fish scare it? Or is there something else in the pond? And it's those kind of things that I was saying from a husbandry skills perspective of what to look out. If you know your pond, you will know what shouldn't be there and what should be there. Coming back onto the swab analysis, you then take the swab and you send it off to the laboratory. And the laboratory can give you an accurate assessment of what tolerance a particular bacteria, what bacteria they're picking up and what tolerance there is, so that you can properly then medicate. And this is where you need to call an expert in to help you. But generally, if you're picking up on the microscope, as you did see on the previous episode, Trichodina or flukes or costia, that kind of thing, Chilidonella, white spot, and so forth. There are so many of them, but once you've identified what parasite it is, you know then what to treat. Now, of course, you get viruses, you get your bacteria, you get fungal diseases, you get various types of diseases. So once you understand what it is that we're dealing with, you know how to medicate. In terms of medication, please, I see many, many times that medicating, just throwing the medication into the water and clouding it in one big cloud, is very dangerous for the fish. It may not hamper them right away, but you'll see that most of your fish move away from the cloud. And what happens is that on times when you introduce the medication so rapidly and vigorously, that cloud of concentrated medication gets into the gill filaments of the fish. And what happens is that that fish at a prolonged time starts suffering from that initial medication boost, if you like, that has actually harmed the gill filaments. And later down the line, you pick up secondary infections because of that. So it's very important of how you introduce the medication. You need to introduce it very, very slightly into the system, and you need to introduce it accurately. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you're working on a guesstimate, you've got to be extremely careful. Then, of course, what you need to do is also understand that this is live water. So certain of the medications can destroy the current microorganisms, the good bacteria that's in the water, and can basically create a pH crash with your water. And your water will be suffering severely at that given time to try and get back to a natural ecosystem, because with some medication it'll destroy the entire lot. In a lot of cases it'll even destroy your water plants and damage them. The most important thing is don't just buy medication and just throw in, and if that doesn't work, throw in another, and so forth and so forth. It's very important that you get the right advice. Second opinions also do count. But from a medication perspective, precision is the key when it comes to that. And water, the right water, is a good carrier for that medication at the right time. Then, of course, you need to do follow-up treatments, which is very important. Fluke, for instance, will only work with a specific medication. But what you need to do is you need to medicate 2 or 3 times. And the reason for that is you follow up. Once you've killed the parents, the second time around, you kill off the rest of what's left over, and you also then kill off the eggs that have been laid and busy being hatched. The third time is a complete preventative measure, and that's the way you eradicate. throwing in all sorts of medications and having incompatibility will create a problem, not only with your water, but also with your fish. So be very, very mindful of that. And as I said, get a proper professional opinion when the time comes to medicate. And don't just throw in, because you're just going to be wasting money if you don't know what you're targeting at. Okay, so now that we've got our fish healthy again from the medication that we've been talking about, just remember the next episode will be another exciting one for you to learn and for us to learn together and share ideas that will be useful to you. But the important thing is help us to help you by subscribing and then also pushing or clicking onto the notification button so that you can enjoy another episode of KoiMedic. Thank you.